Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
And
Should we?
I mean, my brain's is ready for heart. Oh, God. So you're the chick, right? Johnny? Is John coming?
As far as I know.
Oh, there he is. Is John coming?
I don't know.
Georgia boys are slow.
Well, this is your seat. And you can sit right there. Good morning, everybody. It's 10:01. We will get started. Do we have a sign-up sheet? Did anybody want to speak to a measure? Nobody signed up, so we're good with that. We will go ahead and call the meeting to order. I'm going to ask Chairman Smith, Vance Smith, if he will open in prayer for us. Y'all bow with us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. God, we do thank you for a beautiful day you've given us. We thank you for all the blessings you've given us. Thank you for that rest we had this weekend, and help us tackle the items that are important to the citizens of the state of Georgia, and keep us focused on your will, and be with our families that are back home, our children and our grandchildren, keep them safe, and bless this meeting in Jesus' name. Amen.
All right, this time we got two measures on the agenda this morning. First measure we have Chairman Tyler Paul Smith. If he'll come to the table and tell us his bill number, LC number, and you can have the floor.
Good morning, Chairman Corbett and members of the committee. It's been a couple of years since I've been here, and thank y'all for the help back then. We were able to resolve that issue locally that we thought we might have to deal with here at the state level, so I want to thank y'all for hearing us out on that. As you can see, this is a relatively short bill, and I bring to you House Bill 1383 LC 443418, and I'll read here. This would create a code section of 12-9-26, and it says that no later than December 31st of 2026, the Board of Natural Resources shall establish daily emission limitations for toluene from stationary sources located within the Tallapoosa River Basin, basically the west side of the state over there where we defend against everybody coming from Alabama, as we are the first line of defense on I-20. The reason for this bill, currently there's only a yearly limitation for the emission of this chemical in particular. There's no daily or monthly limitation, to my knowledge. I know there's not a daily limitation that I can say with certainty here for members of the committee. What we've experienced in our area is this. There's a chemical that's emanated from a plant there within the Bremen city limits, and I understand that they have been able to detect this smell all the way up in Buckhannon. Just for as you travel up Highway 27, Buckhannon being the county seat of my home county, that's around a 20-minute drive if you're going the speed limit. On the worst days of the emission of this aroma coming from the plant, you can smell it 15 minutes away from where I reside on the east side of the county. Residents in and around this area have been complaining for years, and I want to thank the state EPD for actually coming out and addressing those concerns. However, we found that there's really nothing there to limit these emissions on a daily basis. I understand that supply chain issues have backed up their production over the last year and a half, 2 years. That being said, it seems as if when they do get the supply in, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, they're going whole hog, pouring the coal to it. And so within the last year, I can tell you that I've been in the law office, and with the HVAC unit going, it'll even get in the law office. Those members of the community that live closest to have reported suffering from headaches. I know that several constituents of mine are actually having blood tests run on their children to detect whether this has actually gotten into their children's bloodstream. So it's a real musty, nasty smell, and so without trying to, incorporate all of the state of Georgia, this legislation would target the Tallapoosa River Basin. It's not saying that they cannot continue to emit this aroma, but to do it within moderation, because right now we have a situation that's just clearly untenable, Mr. Chairman. That's really the brief overview, and I'll stand for any questions from members of the committee.
Thank you for the bill. I just my thought or question, where there's no state guideline, EPD limits now, presently, this is be something new?
Yearly limit is the only thing that
Yearly.
I understand we have on. There's no daily limitation, and theoretically, Mr. Chairman, they could do it all in one day at this present moment.
What about on the federal EPA? Do they look at it all?
My understanding is that the current limitation correlates with the federal guidelines. And so we mirror that. Now, I haven't seen anything yet that prohibits the state under the 10th Amendment from setting a daily limitation.
All right, number 23, Chair Lady Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What is Tulane, and how much is it used throughout the state? I mean, is there a deeper background on that? So
Tulane's actually a chemical that they use, and this is particularized to the Tallapoosa River Basin. I did not go outside for the whole state.
but my question is it a statewide issue as well?
I couldn't say. I can only say for our area in particular. And so I can look that up, Chairwoman Smith, and I appreciate the question. It's actually a chemical that's used in the paint plant there. There's actually a paint applied to these parts that they manufacture, and the aroma that emanates from the exhaust there is what's causing the issue back home in our area.
Number 17, Representative Bazemore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to my colleague for bringing this bill. Just a quick question. Is there a cap that's going to be placed on the amount that can be increased? I know it has been years, but.
It's a different bill. It's a different bill.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. I was looking at this one. She said it's a different bill
Fine.
going on. But appreciate you bringing the bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 25, Representative Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just might be a better question for EPD, but I guess what would be the punishment or the penalty for a non-compliant company or something that's not compliant with whatever rules that EPD states?
You know, if my friend from that fine institution in New York at West Point wants to come up with that, I'd entertain that as a friendly amendment.
Number 21, Chairman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it's being checked yearly now, but you kind of want to do a daily check. Now, will that be EPD doing that daily check, or is there something set up within the company that they'll have to check it themselves, monitor it, it'll register it on something, and then it's sent in to the EPD? How would that go about?
So the oversight, as I understand it, I want to thank EPD for coming out. They've actually measured that before, but it's based on a yearly amount that they're allowed to actually emit. And so, yes, they would have oversight. What I anticipate is this, that these companies that emit this would have a way to gauge that already. And so I would anticipate that they could measure the daily limit already. And they would have that capability already, since they already had the yearly emission gauge that they would have to go by.
I reserve the right to come back later.
Yeah, we took a tour of the port and when we were over in Savannah, and they've got monitors all over the city surrounding the port to, I guess, see carbon monoxide monitoring. Well, that's something similar to what we were looking at here.
That would be my understanding, Mr. Chairman.
Number 28, and I didn't say earlier, but both of these bills this morning are hearing only. 28, Chairman McDonald.
First, I'm disappointed with my first roommate that I had down here to even elevate my second roommate that his school might be above the Citadel. So just want to get that out there first. When you talked about bad days, what is the I guess, the weather, or what can make the worst day of this Tulane to be out there, the odor? What was the perfect formula or to make it have a bad day?
I would say that overcast, low-lying clouds, in particular, an overcast day, to summarize it up, especially if there are wind gusts, that would be where you are looking at it being outside the location of just Bremen. You're talking about Buckhannon. I've even had some reports from over in East Alabama. But, you know, even though obviously each county is pretty small in the state of Georgia up in our area, the fact that you can smell it 20, 15, 30 minutes away, that's pretty significant. I will say that I've tried to look at other ways of tackling this issue. I think eventually we're going to need to look at here in our state about, for development authorities, where these companies are locating that are going to be creating these emissions, because depending on the topography, the emission, that aroma you smell can hang depending on where location. So we're wanting to be friendly. We want these businesses to locate here, but when you got a problem with people having headaches daily, concern for the kids being sick that live around this area, I wouldn't ever buy a house close to this area. And you're talking about a pretty significant size subdivision that's located right across the highway from this place. And so we talk a lot about a place to raise, work, and live and raise a family. You don't want to raise a family around this area.
One quick follow-up, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
And going back to my second roommate's position, I'd love to see, since we're hearing only between now and, you know, the bill coming before a subcommittee again, you know, getting with EPD and kind of determining what the measurements, how to measure this besides just smell and odor and headaches. That one, you could put some teeth into it, and, you know, if this continues, if they do not try to fix the issue in the Tallapoosa area, that there is some type of penalty you can impose through EPD.
I would be very open to that.
Okay.
Chair Lady Smith, number 23.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would it be in order to ask EPD to do a briefing for us? One of my biggest concerns is if this is a situation in one place, then we need to be looking at it equally around the state. So if EPD, or Mr. Chair, what you will?
That was the plan. If we can, I've got one more question, and then if the EPD would like to come up and make some comments, or we would love to have that. Chairman Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess kind of a two-part question. Number one, has there been any communication or correspondence with the company in question? And number two, is it just air, or is there any discharge that is being put into a stream or river in that area that associates with this same chemical?
My understanding, Mr. Chairman, is that this is emanated through the air. And as far as communication, I know that obviously myself and previous representatives and our state senators in the past have had EPD come out and do the inspection from time to time. It seems as if when it really ratchets up the worst, that's when everybody kicks into gear. I know that the local city government, they're looking at ordinances, but unless we make a change at the state level, there's little to nothing that they can do at the local level. We've been hamstrung from years prior of this issue, and so really and truly we don't really have a way other than trying something such as this. The company, you know, response, as I understand it, has been we're within legal limitations, take a hike.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Seeing no further questions, if Director Cowan or his, wait a minute, we do have one more, number 14, before we leave. Hold on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay, so it's toluene is what you're trying to regulate. And I can imagine, I have a couple questions. First of all, was the subdivision there before the facility was there?
My understanding is that they came about right around the same time. I'd have to check and get you a complete timeline, but obviously that subdivision built out over time. And, you know, there's been townhomes added right within that subdivision over to your right if you go in facing there. A pretty popular subdivision, but as this continues to be an issue out there, I really anticipate that this subdivision in particular will suffer. Not just that, but other homes located in and about that area.
And I agree with you trying to eliminate this issue, but odor itself is just a nuisance, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's exceeded any kind of standard. So asking for additional emissions on a daily basis doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to solve this problem from my perspective. So I can see where you're trying to head with this, but a smell is a smell. It's just a nuisance, and I wouldn't want to live there either. But I just question how this is going to solve your problem.
I think, and I appreciate the question, I think that this is an attempt to solve that problem. Right now, you only have a yearly limit, so as I noted before, technically, under current regulations, there's a potential that they could discharge a whole year's worth within one day if they wanted to, you know, or over several weeks' time. And what I'd outlined earlier is apparently there's been supply chain issues, and where once they get this supply in, they're trying to fill their back order and get the paint applied that uses this chemical, and so that's what's really ratcheted up the bad aroma. I don't disagree that that smell will always emanate, but it's how much volume that we're dealing with due to this ramped up production due to supply chain issues. And so our belief is that putting a daily limit would prohibit us from experiencing what we have over the last 2 years with such a huge volume of this emission just permeating the whole area.
All right, one more. Chair Lady Smith.
Thank you. For the committee, will Representative Drenner inform us as to her many degrees in her profession and why she asked that question? If it's in order.
It's in order, yes. I'm sorry.
Can you say it again, Madam Chair? I thought it was a comment.
Well, it's a nuisance, but no. I think your question was to me, you had a deeper understanding of this issue than the rest of us. And I know in your profession, I'm just respecting your profession, and if you'll just say what your profession is.
Well, one of my degrees is in environmental science, and I worked in industry a lot under doing air compliance. And my concern about this, whereas I hear what you're saying is legitimate. Another colleague mentioned the weather patterns and all of that. I mean, that also comes into play here. And I would just ask the chairlady that we have a more thorough briefing on this from EPD, because I'm not sure that this will help your people. That's my concern.
Yeah, thank you for that. At this time, I'm going to ask Director Cowan if he'll come to the table and update us on toluene.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have Jim Bolden with me, who's my air chief. He's the real air expert in EPD. We believe this is a good subject, and we have had complaints over the years as well, odor complaints. But this is a hard issue. with odor. We do not regulate odor, and you can be beside a chicken house, you can be beside a paper mill, a manufacturer that uses toluene, which, talking with Jim, this compound is used all across the state. Chairman Smith said it might be in a sort of a valley that could, the meteorological conditions with the valley, you could have inversions and all that could hold it down longer. Like you said, the cloudy conditions. Right now, this facility has a 10-ton per year, which keeps it as a minor source for this hazardous air pollutant, or HAP. Toluene is not the most toxic HAP we have. I think we have the authority right now to do a daily or a monthly emission limit. We're not sure, as Representative Denner said, we're not sure. You could still have some toluene released. The odor threshold in these chemicals is very, very small. Like a paper mill, you can sometimes smell it 50 miles, and that's sulfur compounds. A landfill, you can smell sulfur compounds many miles away. We would love to work with Chairman Smith and try to come up with something. And that is not a measurement, and I don't think they could, and I understand what he's saying, that they might could do the production, but that's based on a production limit. So if they did 10 tons in, let's say, 1 month, then they would be done with us. They could not expand unless they did more permitting to process more. It's based on a processing of amount of capacity of what they're working on there. But we'd be happy to come back and try to do more.
All right, we do have a question, number 15.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the bill sponsor, so can you tell us about this subdivision, about how many homes are there?
I know there's at least 200, and I just remembered that on the backside, so this is located in the industrial park there.
Uh-huh.
And then if you go just right down the road, maybe a mile, if that, there's another subdivision, but the topography, it's actually, you go over a hill. We're in the Piedmont area, so we've got several hills in the area, and this kind of sits behind. So, but I understand the location of that is not too far in proximity to the plant. So it's not just one.
Yes. Did you tell me that that the odor can be detected? You said 30-something away?
30 minutes to somewhere within, so I can smell it out of where we live on the eastern part of the county, so anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 minutes away.
How far away are you in terms of miles?
Oh gosh,
Ballpark.
You're looking at, 10 to 12 miles.
Okay. Well, I would hope that we could give these folks some kind of relief, and if it's within the department's ability to do some checking of the emissions, I think that would be at least a start. Thank you.
All right, number 26, Representative Persinger.
Thank you, Chairman, Director. So I think you said they're currently permitted for 10 tons a year. Is that correct?
For the toluene, yeah.
Where are they in their thresholds now? Are they close? Do we know what they're emitting annually right now?
We'd have to do a calculation on that, and we normally do an annual stack test as well to confirm what their calculations are based on. We can get that information.
Sure, I'd love to see that when we come back with that broader report.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One further question, number 28, Chairman McDonald.
Of course, you're probably familiar, I know the EPD director is this is just a comment that was sent to me this morning. It's from my area. It says, a nice day to sit on the porch and smell the rendering plant. We started a group to stop the venue. Let's work together to stop the smell. The state EPD has laws against this. I know the person that made this post, and he ain't from Forsyth County. People have moved up there. We talked about how long has the subdivision been there, and you said, about as long as the plant. But as far as our rendering plant in Forsyth County, it's been there forever. The owner of it had bought property all around to try to buffer, his plant, which you're probably familiar with. But my question, I guess, more is the state EPD has laws against the smell. That can't be true.
That's not true, sir.
I just wanted to, for those in my area, I'm going to protect, the businesses, the business community. Rendering plant's been there forever, and I know there are not laws against that smell.
For as nuisance laws, it'd have to be by the local community. We don't have nuisance laws in there. I mean, a lot of times there's offshoot of production. Sometimes the increasing odor could be they're not doing something exactly right in there, and we look at that and try to fix it. But just like chicken houses, we don't have any rules for odor on the chicken house. Landfill, like I said, sometimes there's a problem going on there. We're not getting enough the gas off the landfill or something. But we deal with odor issues all across the state on many things.
All right, seeing no further questions, thank you for the bill. Director, thank you for coming. Thank you for all the questions. Great hearing. So look forward to working with you going forward. We have one other bill on the agenda, House Bill 663. The author is not here, but he's got the next best thing. He's got the number 2 signer. I think he's going to come talk to us about the bill. If he'll tell us the bill number and the LC number.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen. Representative McCollum is not here today. I don't know what the holdup is. And since I was the second signer, I've been drafted into this, so let this be a good lesson. No good deed goes unpunished. I looked at his bill, and I remember when I had signed this thing with him, because I had did this bill a few years ago. It's a simple bill. We're not talking about pumping pig litter out of a lagoon to fertilize anything, so there's no smells involved in this bill. It's pretty well a straightforward bill. You've got the folks that do emissions testing in the 15 counties. It doesn't affect most of us. There hadn't been, my understanding, there hadn't been a fee increase for these folks in years. Currently it's between $10 and $25, whatever the wish is. I remember doing this bill a number of years ago, and I understand that there might be the possibilities of an amendment to make it even simpler, and that would just be to raise the $25 to $35 since they hadn't had a fee increase in years. And that's what I can tell you, that these folks haven't had an increase in doing emissions testing, and whatever the will of the committee is, take this up with Representative McCollum when he shows up. But I want to thank y'all for allowing me to stand in. It's been a while since I've been to the Natural Resources Subcommittee.
To me, I've always been told the second signer on the bill is the most important.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but just trying to do a favor for someone.
All right, we do have several questions. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I'd be happy to have you present any bill I had, Chairman Powell. I'm just saying. So the only thing about this bill that concerned me was that there was no cap at all, and I think the original fee was set in 1992. So, an increase to $35 would seem to me totally reasonable. Right. That's just my input. Which
I'm not the author of the bill. When I did this bill a few years ago, I think I had raised that cap to $35, and I understand that might be the wishes of some of y'all on the committee to do that instead of abolishing the fee altogether.
Thank you.
Hearing on, that's right. Chair Lady Smith.
Thank you, and I'll just second everybody saying something nice to you, because behind your back, that doesn't always happen. So.
Normally people tell me what they think one way or another.
Thank you for standing in on this bill, and I have served maybe not as long as you, but I remember the debates as well. And there's one. The non-attainment zone was very scary when this was going on, and it would have limited a lot of industries. It would have impacted the region, and we're talking the metro Atlanta region area. We're not talking the rest of the state. But it was a twofold look at the bill. One was the ones who would be performing this, we needed it to be a fair price. But the second part of it was it's very hard to get the individual with the car to even want to go do the inspection. And so if we allowed piecemeal pricing, we would weaken the whole intent of the bill. So thank you for offering a flat fee consideration, and I want to thank all the people who give part of their business over to doing this. But I know how bad it can be when a whole community is shut down, and that is almost what happened with all of our businesses and industries that were polluters in this program. And part of it is our cars. We're probably the biggest group that pollutes the whole environment, so add airplanes and all like that to it. So, but it needs to be done, and I'm glad the committee is open to a flat fee discussion. But also, I think EPD could explain this better than I'm explaining it at the proper time, Mr. Chair, when you want to call them up to brief us.
We've got a couple more. We've got another question. Representative Drenner, do you have a question? You, okay. We do have one person signed up to speak to the measure. If he'll come to the podium and tell us his name and who he's with.
If with the permission of the chair, I've got another committee I need to be in, and since I'm not the original, I'm just the stand-in. I would like to bow out.
You did a fine job, Mr. Chairman.
Leave this up to the discretion of the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen of the committee, I'm Wesley Dunn. I'm here representing a company called DECRA International. They do emission tests throughout the 15 counties. We have 25 facilities in the 15 non-attainment counties, and most of them we have at least one facility in. I was actually a member of the General Assembly in 1992 when we passed this bill, and Chairman Powell came in 90, and he and Butch Parrish and Gerald Green are the only survivors from my service back in those years. But it's been 34 years since there's been a change in this. Over that time, facility rents, wages, and updating equipment have all happened, and there's been no change in the fee. Facility rents, especially in wages, have gone up substantially since COVID, and it's a severe impact on the association. The president of the association was supposed to be here. I do not represent them, but I got information from them. There are 695 facilities in the 15 counties, 2,100 employees. Many of those companies are small businesses. Many of them are owned by minorities and women and veterans. So we're asking, the bill was to direct EPD to have hearings and determine what was a fair fee. Representative McCullough thought there was a way to do deregulations. We did not care. We just need some help, whether it's a flat fee at the top range, the maximum fee, or having EPD do it. Derek was trying to, Representative McCullough was trying to get some feedback from EPD. We don't know if they want to do that or not. I was talking with former Deputy Director Eunice about this bill before he got moved to Washington. But we're asking for some help. This law is something that's not popular with anybody, but it is a mandate from the government based on the air quality in the Atlanta region. And once the air quality gets right, my understanding is the emission test can go away. But the recent report this last year shows that our quality is not as good as it has been. So what we're asking for is just give us some relief, whether that's letting EPD set it or whether y'all want to mess with the maximum, but we do need some help.
Number 26.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Dunn. I hear what you're saying, but I know EPD doesn't really want to get into probably setting fees all the time and everything, but is there a way that maybe, would you be amenable to an amendment to have the EPD be an advisory role, advising us every biennial to maybe suggest a cap so that we don't have this 30-year span of nothing happening, and we can look at this and then come back and look at it, how it's affecting the industry, and look at our air quality maybe on a 2-year basis?
I certainly have no objection to that, and even if I did, I've been around long enough to know it's really not my decision to make except to the will of the committee. So whatever y'all think is proper, I certainly stand behind that.
And conversations you and I have had previously about this, there's no intent to try to expand this outside the containment zone for as the rest of the state.
And
it's just
the bill Representative Powell was talking about came out of your Motor Vehicles Committee as a committee substitute in 24. And that committee substitute raised it to 35 on the top end. I do have a copy of that as a committee substitute. I can furnish you if that's the will of this subcommittee.
The director want to comment on this at all?
Again, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We are willing to work with Representative McCollum to set this what is reasonable. We have a breakdown, and this is for, I think it's 13 counties. I don't want to be, it says 13 counties were the ozone standard, and it's a part of our ozone maintenance plan for Atlanta. And so we need it here, and it's to offset any, ozone maintenance. So if we took this thing out as he taught, if the air got better, and we hope the air gets better, and it can continue to do so, but we got into attainment during COVID when nobody was driving and nobody was flying. And if you've been down here lately, a lot of people drive now and many people fly. So we're working through that. And there's also some meteorological things that help us with air quality as well in Atlanta. So we do believe it's needed there, and we're good with setting, and we believe striking the fee completely potentially causes some legal issues based on some recent Supreme Court cases. So we would rather have either the 10 to 25 with a annual inflation or something, or increase it to 25 to 35. We see that it's broke down in certain ways, these fees. So the fees, EPD gets right now $1.28 per test to administer the program. We also have a contractor that does all this equipment out there that's $1.74 per test. And then each county that is affected there gets $1 per test. And then the remainder goes to the station owner or emissions owner. Now, some of the testing has been reduced on this so that some of the equipment is not needed, the more expensive equipment, but there is still, as Mr. Dunn said, there's rent, labor, and every kind of thing to keep it running. So we are amenable to working to set a fee that would help these folks, because we do believe it's an important program.
Walk me through, what does the test entail? Is it, you got to hook it up to a monitor, or just take a handheld monitor and check the exhaust? What's the process?
Well, today you hook it up to the computer of the car. Most of the cars are computerized now, and is there still a tailpipe monitor? No more tailpipe monitor. It's basically on the computer, tells how the car is functioning. And I think with the cars are getting better and better. We used to have a gas cap test too, if you didn't do the gas cap just right, but that test is not required either. But the computer today tells us if the car is running properly, where it's not causing the emission from it. And it's you have to have your catalytic converter is there as well, yeah.
All right. I do have a couple of questions. Number 17, Representative Bazemore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to say thank you to my colleagues, thank you to the author, and to the supporters, and to EPD. Now that I'm on the right bit, and it seems like everybody has the same idea about the cap, but this is important, and I thank you for bringing this and supporting this, author and everyone involved.
Number 23, Chair Lady Smith.
Thank you. Thank you for helping to explain this. To take it further, this did not originate with George. Is it not an EPA standard how does that work? Because we get judged as well at some level.
Yeah, but I don't think that EPA requires this to be in place now, but we have to have the offsets and everything. Here's our author right here. So right now this is a part of our plan to maintain our standard for ozone in Atlanta. So we believe it's a very important program. It covers the 13 counties in that ozone area, and I think we do have one station at Statesboro for the Georgia Southern students, so that the kids don't have to come home. But we agree that we have no issue with raising it. We just want to work with the author to do it appropriately. Like I said, either through 25 to 35 or whatever your number 2 author wrote on it, or an annual inflation or something. Yeah.
Well, I think that the original way the bill was drafted was, I apologize for being late, but was kind of giving y'all the purview over that. Is that something y'all are opposed to, or?
No, I think that we do have potential issue with striking the fee totally, because we've had some court cases here lately about our deference and all that, and so we may lose some authorities if that, but we would love to work either a range or annual inflation figure or something to make sure these people are made whole that do this important business in our state.
And I'd like to see y'all work offline to work on that. So we do have another question, number 25, Representative Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know we've got the test for a reason. I guess, what are the results of the? Can we monitor the reason for the test and what impact it's having on the ozone? Is there a way to, quantify those impacts, those results to the ozone? Is it getting better, getting worse, et cetera?
We do a lot of modeling that looks at that, and we think this is helping. But as I said earlier, when we achieved attainment on ozone in Atlanta, not many people are driving. And it's not only the people that live in Atlanta, it's the people driving here to work, including me. I'm guilty. We need to do this, and we can find some information on that too, on how much it helps us. But if we do not do the inspection and maintenance program, we're going to have to find something else to cut to keep us into attainment on our maintenance plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks for that question. Not seeing any further questions. Wait, one more. Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to just make one more comment after listening to the discussion. The director makes a very good point. We think $35 would be a good starting point, but if you do the calculation of what $25 was in '92, that figure is $58.75 now, and if you do those calculations at various computers online, so 35 would be a modest a place to go from here. But as the director said, if we can put a price index in there to be looked at every so often, that would help the industry tremendously.
Great, and possibly report back to this committee like we're talking about what effect we're having with that. It would be great too, I think. So, but anyway, thank you for that. I think with no further questions, great hearing. Thank you for the questions. The meeting is adjourned.